solutions in India here at Esri Eastern Africa for the natural resource industry. So I'm going to be taking you through extracting information from imagery using the ArcGIS Image for ArcGIS Online. So what is ArcGIS Image for ArcGIS Online? This is a software as a service solution produced by Esri, whereby you are able to host, stream, and analyze your imagery and raster content in the cloud. So let's talk about why this product could be important for your organization. And we all understand that imagery enriches GIS. In addition to that, it provides that context as a reference layer. And with that, you're able to measure conditions and have that ability to observe and measure change. So imagery enables object detection through deep learning, which now gives that rise to new features, and you're able to generate new informational products. So here we're saying that imagery is a foundational data source for information that supports decision making. And you see that organizations use imagery to support precision mapping, reality capture, and this enables them to create accurate site models, base maps, and other foundational contents that support their businesses. They are able to exploit imagery to perform analysis and extract observations for use cases such as inspections, monitoring, and intelligence. And also they're able to use imagery to identify spatial patterns that help them understand the natural and built environment. So here we'll be talking about urban growth, crop yields, land cover, habitat loss, and many others. So with this, you see that imagery comes in all kinds of formats and from multiple platforms and modalities. So we are able to have many content, many sources from many service providers, and you need a system that enables you to manage and search all this information and discover and analyze all this imagery to support your workflows across your organization. So the imagery management capability of ArcGIS are designed to bring all of this together. And it's a system whereby you're able to manage all your imagery and provide that photogrammetry capability, geo-artificial intelligence, and raster analytic tools that are able to support each of these use cases. So at the center of this vision for the imagery is the image services. Image service empowers users to work with the massive amount of imagery from these different sources that we mentioned, and now they're able to provide much more to the catalog of search and discovery. You find that desktop and web apps across these organizations can consume these images services for visualization, for analysis, and also they're able to exploit and use this for map production tasks. And you can access these services in web maps, dashboards, story maps, and much more. So because this image service let everyone access and work from the same imagery, they are able to eliminate that redundancy in these image data silos. So you are able to also democratize the use of imagery for use across the organization. ArcGIS Image for ArcGIS Online is Esri's complete software as a service, whereby you're able to leverage the image services to support your work. It allows you to host, analyze, and stream imagery and raster collection in ArcGIS Online. Let's have a look at some of the key benefits of ArcGIS Image Online. With ArcGIS Image Online, you are able to access imagery across your organization. So here it gives you the flexibility to host and stream the imagery in the way that best suits your workflows. So whether you are serving the imagery or let's say like a construction site, a city, or maybe a post-event imagery, or other mosaics, or even other multidimensional raster formats, you're able to access that through the capability of ArcGIS Image Online. So you can publish imagery as intelligent tile services, which are now considered fast performant. And these tile images retain the pixel information for all those bands. And here users can perform client-side interactive analysis, and they can also apply the enhancements to their imageries. You can also stream dynamic imagery layers, which support on the fly processing and dynamic mosaicing. So all of this together, all these options together enable that seamless integration of imagery in a variety of application and workflows across organizations. So in addition, you also have that full control of permissions. And here you can upload, you can publish, you can access, and also you can consume your imagery. So with ArcGIS Image Online, you don't need to worry about any infrastructure management at all. Instead, you can just work on imagery. You can just work with that imagery that you uploaded as fast and as a performance service, originating from that scalable and a secure software as a service, which Esri manages and will also maintain the infrastructure for you. So because this is because the ArcGIS image is available in ArcGIS Online, you just get to log in and have to create those advanced reports and also help you keep up with the imagery related activities within your organization. So you're able to integrate with your organization specific logins, and you can now be able to monitor that through ArcGIS Image Online. So ArcGIS Image Online simplifies image management by making it easy to publish and manage your imagery in the Rasta collection that you may have within your organization. So with that comprehensive support for the Rasta data types, processing levels and formats, this covers, let's say, all the mosaics, the satellite scenes, aerial imagery, elevations, and also bathymetry and other scientific data sets. So the metadata for this image is preserved, and this allows the users to filter and use relevant details that is contained within the raster content. So ArcGIS Image provides that simple web experience whereby you can now upload and publish the imagery in just a few simple steps. So this means image publishing can be accessible to everyone within the organization. It doesn't have to be not just imagery experts. So you can publish, you can also publish using the ArcGIS Pro Suit, whether you are uploading a new dataset, or you can persist the analysis results as new imagery layers. All these steps can be fully automated using ArcGIS API for Python, which provides environments such as ArcGIS, the notebooks. Also, you can develop scripts or even custom toolboxes for your use cases. As a great example of a toolbox, we have the toolbox created by our partners, which is the Airbus data publisher, which creates a bridge between the Airbus imagery and ArcGIS. And here you are able to bring your Airbus imagery directly to ArcGIS Online, and you're able to do your tasking imagery. Maybe you want to use the imagery for analysis. You're able to use that API and the toolbox provided by Airbus for use in ArcGIS Image Online. So with ArcGIS Image Online, you can also process imagery at a scale with using that powerful interpretation. And you can also see that image analysis and raster analytics workflows become easier in the cloud. This helps you to manage the imagery and also gain that situational understanding. You are able to extract insights, and this also enables that decision making makes decision-making become easier and much faster. So you can apply these analytics through that intuitive web experience. So here you use the ArcGIS Pro, which is available, and also we've mentioned the rich Python API, whereby you can exercise that full automation to develop those custom Rasta function, which can now be chained together and and create that machine learning workflow for your organization. So all these imagery layers can be used for further analysis and incorporated to your custom web apps. So here we are talking about dashboards, reports, and also story maps. All of these are powered by the elastic and resilient ArcGIS Online environment, which you can now be able to process your imagery without needing to acquire or manage any infrastructure. ArcGIS Image Online helps you save time and cost on the processing and analysis tasks. Because this analysis is performed in the elastic cloud environment, processing scales effortlessly, and the tasks that probably take hours can be done much faster. So this helps you meet demands from your customers and clients, and you're able to complete projects in a timely manner. So with ArcGIS Image Online, what you need to do is just pay for what you need to use. You don't need to pay for maintaining your own infrastructure, because Esri will now manage that software for you as a service. So when you host your imagery using ArcGIS Image Online, you only pay a fixed price for storage for your imagery. Then you can now access the imagery at no additional cost. So here we are talking about now having to allocate budgets for your users. And now this enables you to now estimate the charges for your analysis task before they are performed. And also you're able to control the costs. So creating and sharing powerful image services in ArcGIS Online, it's pretty much easy. Step one is to upload your imagery to ArcGIS Online. So all you need to do here is navigate to your content in your content tab in ArcGIS Online, and under the new items tab button, you're able to choose to add an imagery layer. Step two is to select the image service type. For instance, here we are talking about the tiled imagery layer or the dynamic imagery layer. The tiled imagery layer here means that you're able to serve original pixel values for client-side visualization and processing, while the dynamic layer imagery provides that on-the-fly processing, and you're able to now come up with virtual mosaic rasters. So all these layers can both be used as inputs for raster analysis. So step three is to now apply the analytics and raster templates to transform now your imagery to now useful information. This step could be optional, but also it's also important. Probably you might need to have defined parameters. So it becomes more important as well to consider. And finally, the final step is to now decide who should have the permission to access the new images services and to now stream your image to those end users. So you can use that role-based permissions, which exist in ArcGIS Online, and you're able to define the individuals and the groups who are able to now access the imagery and stream it within your organization. Once you've uploaded your imagery and any rasters you might have within ArcGIS Online, you can now access the imagery using the image hosting capability. You can access the storage and analytic capabilities which are available in ArcGIS Online Cloud. And now you are able to push out the imagery to client applications such that you're able to now stream it as a service from your hosted imagery. It's just as simple as that, because Now with ArcGIS Image Online, it's software as a service, so you don't need to worry about any architecture within your organization. So let's focus on this powerful component within ArcGIS Image Online, which talks about now finding spatial patterns within imagery and raster analysis. So you can see that with ArcGIS Image Online, you are able to empower users to build and apply raster functions. So here, visually, we are saying that this can transform the raw imageries to different types of informations. And you can see that once you explore this, you'll find that we have over 150 system level functions, whereby you can choose to chain or use each of the tools independently to create custom workflows. And these workflows you can also save as raster function templates, which can now be reused, shared, and also be customized and evolved within your organization. So the raster functions templates can be created, they can be modified, and this is enabled using the graphical editing interface, which is now available on the web interface, which is now the browser. So let's have a look at some of the key analysis cases which can now be made possible with ArcGIS Image Online. And here we are talking about on-the-fly processing, which requires the dynamic imagery layer type. And this is controlled in the image display dialog, which is available in web map. So this analysis method are defined within the raster function and can be saved within the layer item that you publish in ArcGIS Online. So this makes it possible for their users to have an easy way to select the raster functions. On-the-fly analysis is a powerful technique, and it's mostly used for data exploration, and whereby you can now do the model refinement to validate and perhaps check if the outputs are able to meet let's talk about project goals before you executing it at a larger scale. So the raster analysis is a specific permission that is granted within to an ArcGIS Online user, and it presents over 20 ready-to-use tools which are ready to execute on your own imagery. It provides that web-based raster function editor, whereby you can operate it on a tiled or a dynamic imagery layer. So comparing it to the on-the-fly analysis, you find that the raster analysis always persists its output as a new layer. So you're able to perform that analysis and have a new output from the processing itself. So having these two scenarios can be helpful to consider, whereby you might be thinking which of the use cases might be helpful, perhaps to support your organizational workflows. ArcGIS Image Online has been designed to use the geo-artificial intelligence. Here we are talking about the deep learning models, which can now be automatically used to extract features from imagery. So through the living atlas of the world, you can access a growing list of models that can help you detect, classify objects, let's say buildings, solar panels, swimming pools, just to mention a few. Simply select the model that you want to use for the features that you want to extract, and this will happen behind the scene, whereby ArcGIS Image will be able to now compute and extract the information from the imagery. And the extra loading processes will now be handled behind the scenes using ArcGIS Image Online. So you will find that this is a really powerful capability for ArcGIS Online, and it can help you and the organization to perhaps modernize your imagery production workflows without even needing to invest perhaps expensive compute infrastructures. Now that we've seen what ArcGIS Image Online can do, and we've also checked about, we've also looked how it works. Let's look about, let's check how this software can step in action to now help your organization through a demo. You'll see a good example would be an example of the Grizzly Creek fire, which happened in a place known as Colorado in USA. And you find that this fire was a big originated like a human cause, and it was able to spread and burn perhaps around 32,000 acres of land. So this could be a good, could be one of the ways to be able to extract imagery, maybe to understand the extent of the burn on this area. Another example would be perhaps, let's say you can have another example. Maybe I could just share my screen. Just looking at one of the apps provided by Esri on the Living Atlas, you could have a look, let's say like an area like Mount Kenya, which has been prone to fires in the recent past. For instance, in the beginning of the year, we had a fire within that was reported to have burned at least 16,000 acres. And from the Landsat imagery of March 21st, you can see the extent that the imagery was able to capture the fire in action. And you can see that was a live fire, and it was still spreading up to, I think, the end of the month. So this would also be a good example to use and probably have that to probably test and be able to extract information from such imagery. So let's look at the Grizzly fire. And we can see from this demo, we will use ArcGIS Image in ArcGIS Online for hosting Sentinel-2 satellite data, which is freely available through the open data sources. And you'll see that the imagery will be hosted as a dynamic imagery layer, which allows not only for on-the-fly rendering of the images, but to also quickly visualize in various render properties, such as, let's say, color infrared, natural color, shortwave infrared band, and many others, depending on the band combination that you would intend to use. So this allows us to easily visualize the area of interest in both the pre-fire and post-fire image mosaics. So we will be able to also perform image analysis to calculate the burn severity using the Rasta function templates. So let's at first look at the pre-fire imagery, which was the 2020 natural color Sentinel-2 imagery. And you can see from the band combination, we are able to have a render of a natural color, combining the RGB bands, which is the band 4, 3, and 2, and applying that, having a stretch type to the imagery. You can see the extent of the burn, and we can also compare that with the color infrared imagery render, sorry, and applying the color infrared band on the pre-fire 2020 imagery. You can see the vegetation health being highlighted with the deep reds, indicating the healthy vegetation, while the light shades of red indicates the sparse vegetation or the grasslands. So again, let's compare that to the post-fire 2021 color infrared rendering. And you can see the burn areas are now much more clearly visible. And you can see we have some green sections on the area, which indicates that there were burnt vegetation within that areas. So if perhaps I could go back and forth to just highlight the change that occurred with the fire happening, and you can see the extent of the fire through that visualization. So creating a raster function chain, you can see that the band severity can be calculated by comparing the difference between the pre and the post-fire Sentinel-2 imagery. And here the results can now be stored either as a tiled imagery or a dynamic imagery layer. So for this example, we are going to choose the tiled imagery layer. And a closer look at the color map, you can see it's used to render the analysis results just to show the areas with the high band severity being the bright reds, with those with moderate damage being in yellow, and the areas with low damage appearing in a lighter blue or a cyan kind of color. So for this workflow, how do you now get to have that? You now start by logging into the ArcGIS Online, and here you can look at my settings for my account just to see that you need to have the ArcGIS Online license enabled to start loading the imagery. And you can see the extension that is available for my use. So after signing in, we want to now upload the imagery. That becomes now the next step. If you have identified the imagery that you want to analyze, if it's maybe from Sentinel, since our case is now the Sentinel, but you might choose to have, let's say, the Landsat. It's also supported here, so you can choose to have one mosaic image layer or it could be also a multiple imagery collection. So you can have that, describe that in the Rasta data type. And you'll see that with ArcGIS Image Online, we have now the support for many formats and many raster data types from aerial satellites and other scientific raster data formats. So for analysis, we are going to look at to create the dynamic imagery layer. And in the next step, we are going to choose that one mosaic imagery. Let me just click here, and you're going to load the level 2 Sentinel imagery, which is the one that I chose to download for this section. And now when I'm configuring the properties here, I want to select the bottom of atmosphere reflectance, which now gives us the full range of sampling for all the bands. Whereas that, if I chose to have the 10-meter bottom of atmosphere reflectance, I would only have the key bands, which are now the RGB bands. But we want to also retain the 20-meter resolution bands and the 60-meter resolution bands, the ground sampling distance for the other bands. So next is to now, after configuring the dynamic layer, we now select the input imagery to upload. So here you just drag and drop the imagery layers that you might have downloaded or acquired, and just drag and drop into select input imagery section, and it will begin uploading instantly to your ArcGIS image content. So while the imagery is uploading to ArcGIS Online, you can see that we are able to now define other metadata about the item that you are uploading, and we can now give it a title and click on create to be able to now finish the new dynamic imagery dataset. Let me give it a tag and also describe the summary. So after that is done, I'm able to click on create, and it's now going to create the new dynamic imagery layer. Maybe just to show you. So after it's done creating, we'll get the two dynamic imagery for the pre-fire mosaic and the post-fire mosaic sentinel mosaic imagery. And with this now, we are able to now add it to our map to now be able to analyze and visualize the imagery. So let's look at our web map, and on the content you can see both sentinel imageries are loaded. We have the 2020 Prefire imagery, whereby you can choose to see the legend and see the combination here being of the natural color composite, and you can choose to switch the display and the render by switching the bands. Here you can input the combination that you would want, but also we have some predefined raster templates which you can choose to have defined and attached to the item itself. So you can choose to have a color infrared, which when I click on apply, you're able to see that switches automatically to the color infrared render. We also have the NDVI colorized, which is also a different band combination composite. And you can see with that we have imagery, we have vegetation highlighted in a different vegetation strength highlighted in different shades of green. We also have the shortwave infrared band with dynamic range adjustment applied. And you can see it gives a different render as well for that. So with that, you are able to analyze that imagery for the pre-fire image sentinel mosaic. So let's look at the post-fire as well, and just visualizing that. If I just perhaps go back one step, let me go switch back to the natural color render. We just want to visualize the change that happened before the fire and after the fire. So if I switch the post-fire imagery mosaic, you can see we have big extents, big chunks of lands being bare, and this indicates that the extent of the fire was actually quite big, and you can see the huge tract of land with a bare land. So you're able to also have different renders for it as well. And with the color infrared band, color infrared render, you're able to clearly visualize the extent. Let me just have those two imagery mosaics with the color infrared applied. So if I have that applied, so if I switch between the imageries, you can see the change that happened before the fire and after the fire. So using our imageries, we are now able to use a different raster template to now be able to extract the pre-fire and the post-fire results and analysis from the imagery. And from this, you can see, maybe if I just go back to the image display, and to show you that you can always have additional raster function templates and renders for it as well. So let me just apply the normalized band ratio index in the image. And all these can be predefined for your use case. You might choose to have different raster render template or a render for your imagery. So all these can be predefined and attached to your image items for use by all users within your organization. So once I apply I extract the information from the imagery. And how do I do this? I could just come to the analysis tab, which now gives me the capabilities that are provided with the ArcGIS Image extension to have the raster analysis capabilities within ArcGIS Online. And you can see all these tools nested within the groups to be able to use them to analyze your imagery. So probably I might need to monitor the vegetation. You'll find the tool within the Analyze Image group, whereby you're able to apply the NDVI indices to monitor the health or the status of the vegetation. So you can have different raster types, whereby you might need to calculate the slope, the aspect, and probably create a view shed from the digital elevation models. So you can also choose to manage the data, whereby you can choose to extract the band severity from the imagery. And here we are talking about extracting these from the Prefire Imagery, Sentinel imagery that we downloaded, and also extract that from the Postfire Sentinel imagery that we had. And having to run this, you'll see that you'll have the Prefire extract visualize for that. Just give it a time as it renders. As you can see, this is a tiled imagery, and you can see it loads in a tile format. And you can see different tiles loading. And all this shows that it's able to maintain those pixel information within the raster output. So I could probably visualize the pre-fire. I could also maybe check the post-fire imagery. Let me just refresh that map. So if I go back to my content, so you're able to see that the imagery loads, and that what we have here is the pre-fire mosaic, imagery mosaic, and we can load that with the extract that we've generated from the pre-fire Sentinel imagery. So applying the same procedure, we can also see we have the post-fire extract, which we got from the post-fire Sentinel imagery. And with this kind of information, you are able to visualize the change that occurred as a consequence of the fire within this grizzly region. So if I probably check that, and you can see the vegetation area having reduced to a great extent, and the green section indicates where the burn extent occurred. So this could aid your analysis, and you don't need to have this. And you can see this being as a service, it enables faster processing. And this being a server-side processing, you can see the information is retained, and it doesn't need to load. You don't need to load any products afresh. You can see it's been loading as a tiled format. So having extracted that, we are able to now use probably the Rasta function templates. Let's say you could probably have a band severity templates to now be able to conduct future analysis for such use cases. So how do you go about this? On the analysis, perform analysis button, here at the perform analysis tab, you'll see at the top, you're able to create a raster function template to perform the processing and the analysis. So if I click on it, it loads the raster function editor, whereby you can chain different tools to have a workflow for your analysis. So let's say I could have the input data type there as my raster. I could probably pick, let's say I'm dealing with a digital elevation model, and I need to probably check at the aspect of this elevation model. So I could just come add the tool as an aspect function, and probably I need an output as a color map. I could just click on it to see the description of what that output would be. So if this is what I need, I could just go ahead and click on the plus icon to add it to the editor. And now having these two tools here, I could click on the arrange layout. Probably I wouldn't want this to be I would probably want my raster to be the first icon. So I change the input raster to the aspect, and also now change the analysis results to have now produced the color map. So this could be a raster function template that you could probably have, probably be using frequently within your organization, and you could save this and share within your colleagues in your organization to probably save on time, and also minimize on errors on the analysis. So once you're satisfied, you could probably go ahead and inspect the parameters. Just double click on the tool, and you can see the variables being the parameter is a raster, and you could probably check the parameter to ensure that it's okay. So just click on that, and you can check on the color map variables as well. So you can check the color scheme type, the color name, and the color ramp. So all these could be defined within the raster function editor. So once I'm satisfied with that, I just go ahead and save my function template. I could just give it a name. This could be an aspect function template. Add some tags. Let's say aspect demo. Then having defined that, I could also go ahead and specify the sharing levels, whereby I could share with the organization, and everyone can have access to this template and be able to now use it to their organization workflows. So this could also be shared to specific departments as well, or specific groups that you might want to have within your organization. So that's now the raster function templates. I already saved that. So probably might want to look at another use case, whereby you might want to have a completely different type of raster function template. And in our case, what we might want to have is a band severity raster function, whereby anyone within the organization can have their imagery upload that in ArcGIS Online and get to use the raster function template to come up with to generate more information about from the imagery that they have. So you might probably want to search within your organization if the template, probably someone else might have created the template, so it becomes available within your organization. So if I just type on search, you'll find that I have a template here created, and this could also be used by anyone. So if none exists, I could now go ahead and create this raster function template and proceed to now share with the organization as well. So now having, since the template is created, I could just go ahead and search. So this is it. I could probably inspect the template to ensure that it has all the parameters are set right, to ensure that the outputs, the output results are what we should expect. So we probably need a we need a Prefire Rasta input and a Postfire input. So we need to also calculate the band arithmetics from the bands, and just placing the cursor on the tool, it gives you a small description on what the tool does. So checking on the band arithmetics, you're able to customize and modify these parameters on your tool sets. So just double click on the icon, and the resultant output, you are going to have several classes defined just to highlight the areas of high band degree, areas of moderate band, and areas of low and very low band areas. So you could have as many classes of values here as you wish. So having satisfied, you just go ahead and save that and share within your organization. So with that, you are able to now come and come back to the web map, and once you run the tool, you are able to get. Let me just go back. This is the resultant output, whereby you're able to visualize areas of high degree band, low degree band, and low or no band at all. So how this is the resultant output, having run that raster function template. So so with that, you are able to see that it becomes easy to use ArcGIS Image Online to be able to publish, probably set the parameters for your raster function template, customize it and modify, and also share the end results to your end users. So a good example of this output is probably through the Living Atlas, whereby we have the Esri's land cover map. We have the output as the 2020 land cover. Let me just open it. And this is a result of ArcGIS Image Online. And we are, the team at Image Observatory were able to run this through the ArcGIS Image Online and processing the Sentinel imagery, and we were able to come up to define the classes and come up with this 2020 land cover imagery, tiled imagery layer. So you can see now from this, you are able to generate more information and probably have analysis ready layers for your decision making workflows. So we see that you are able, we can see that whether you have large and small data set, you're able to publish your contents, and you don't need to be any imagery expert. You just need to have the extension enabled within your organization, and you can see that the ArcGIS image for ArcGIS Online is versatile, whereby you are able to create hosted imagery layers you are able to use both open commercial data sources, and you're able to also publish through various mediums, whether it's the web browser, whether it's through ArcGIS Pro, and also you're able to do some automation through the ArcGIS API for Python. So we've also seen how we can now enrich your GIS, whereby we've seen from the visualization of the creek fire, whereby you're able to provide powerful visualization. You're able to collaborate and do some analysis at a scale. So you might ask yourself, how do I now start with ArcGIS Image Online? And this is easy because this is a software as a service offering, and there's nothing to deploy or install. So all you need to do is have your login and have the appropriate license and the user type to be able to get the ArcGIS image capabilities for use within your organization. So this requires that you have a creator user type license, which gives you the power to create and publish the services in ArcGIS Online. And users with this creator user type license can add on the ArcGIS image for ArcGIS Online as an extension to their license type. And now this will now enable them to publish and manage their imageries and do analysis tasks within ArcGIS Online. So after that, you are able to use ArcGIS Online credits, which are now the premiums, the currency for the premium services in ArcGIS Online, which now enables you to consume services, let's say like storage, the imagery hosting on the cloud, and also the analysis capabilities within ArcGIS Online. So you also have access to the roles and permissions, which you can now shape and grant independently from one, maybe to different individuals within the organization. And users can have now the ability to either publish hosted or dynamic imageries, and they can also be able to conduct the analysis independently from one another. We also have some additional resources whereby you can get help and familiarization to now get to extend your knowledge around this ArcGIS image for ArcGIS Online. Here you have the get to know ArcGIS Online, which is a guide that will take you through the key concepts and the capabilities. And with it, we'll also have the implementation guides that provides that closer look and the steps to now have the best practices to set up and operate the ArcGIS image online. So thank you for the opportunity to describe the ArcGIS Image Online, which is now our solution for hosting and streaming and analysis of imagery in the cloud. Thank you. Victor?